Yo, it's X. Welcome to the RowCast. It's episode 5, I believe, 5 or 6, but it's one of the special guests. One of my rivals over college, over high school. We talked about high school recruiting when we were in high school, and now we're finally out of the collegiate realm. And we still, dabble in rowing. We both coach. We do our thing, but we're also brothers of the war. It's my boy, Anthony Williams. How you doing, bro?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. So, Anthony, man, you're a Philadelphia guy, born and raised?
Born and raised Philadelphia.
So, what'd you do before rowing? What were you like before rowing?
Before rowing, I was more artsy, not gonna lie. But I did dabble in sports. I like tennis. I dabbled in horseback riding. I dabbled in baseball, basketball, everything but football, really.
Okay.
I like soccer and tennis the most. So more cardio, active sports were my avenue.
Yeah. So what drew you to tennis and soccer?
I liked running. I still like running to this day. So kind of just got out, young teen angst, I guess.
I feel that. So artsy, what type of art, what type of medium we talking about? Did you draw? You paint? What do you do?
Honestly, I went to artsy high school. So I do all the above. I was more into abstract like sculptures.
Okay.
Some painting, but I don't really like painting or drawing. Not too good at it.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty solid. So when did you start the sport of rowing?
Started sport of rowing my freshman year of high school, which was spring of 2013, like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I had no idea what rowing was. I've heard some things. I knew about the dad bail to an extent that they shut down part of a big road in Philadelphia. But my parents wanted me to pick one sport and stick with it all 4 years. And it's the only sport I hadn't done yet. And I don't like to swim. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And then it just stuck with me.
Feel that. So you remember anything from your novice year? Anything that's like a key memory of, dang, I actually do like this sport, or not?
Freshman year, my freshman year, I broke my school's 2K record for freshmen, actually.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know what that meant back then, but that kind of made me a little bit more excited. And then I had like a good friendship with my coaches and my friends. So I went to a smaller school. It was like a team of like 23, 26. We were all smaller sculling boats. Maybe a quad is the biggest. So we were all pretty close. So having a good community helped me like stick around in the sport.
Were you in a club or were you in a team?
No, it was a school sponsored team. It was a varsity sport at my school.
Nice. So did that give it any more weight to it where it's like, yo, this is like, because I know for some people it's like, oh, it's not like that real of a sport, right? If you're in a club, right?
Well, my coaches were really involved in rowing. My coach at the time had started the program like 13 years prior. So she was like still into it and she rowed. And we also had people on the team. There were two guys a year older than me, Emmett and Jacob. They were into rowing. They went on to Brown and Georgetown to rowing college. So I got to see them and their progress and what they did with different clubs in the summer and the fall. And I kind of followed them a little bit and built my collegiate path from there.
So during the summer, I know you in Philadelphia, they got a lot of programs over the summer. Did you immediately after your freshman year go to a summer program?
I did. I was sent to Crescent Boat Club. And I was there. It was a great place for me. It really taught me like digging dirty, being competitive, learning how to seat race, learning what 2Ks really are, and learning how to, accomplish goals in rowing and racing, learning how to become a racer, really. And I was at Crescent for 3 years until the end of my senior year. I went to Vesper. I rowed with their summer program, had success there. Won club nationals in the double, won Canadian Henley in the double, then went to college. And then after college, my freshman year, I rowed at Penn AC.
Okay. So
I also rowed at Bachelor's Barge Club in there too.
You a man of all clubs, it sounds like, for real, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I had my toes in all the boat houses.
So what was the moment where you're like, okay, yeah, you had the freshman record for 2K. You got to race over the summer. Was after your freshman summer, right? Was sophomore year like, oh, like I'm really in it. Like I'm really like, I really got this.
A bunch of the guys at Crescent who rode at Roman Catholic, they reached out to me and we became friends over the fall, and they would talk to me. So we like race each other because I was over at Bachelor's Bars Club at that time, that fall of my sophomore year. So we raced each other, and they like welcomed me back, and I rode with them that summer after sophomore year, and we like became really good friends. So through that, I kind of just got more solidified and comfortable and more into the sport.
Feel that. Hey, I know we got to do this because I mean, no matter what, I've been interviewing a lot of Europeans or a lot of, from different areas. Can we give the audience just a little background of, Philadelphia rowing? It's probably the biggest city when it comes to rowing. You guys have like little areas, little places where you guys hang out. You guys have your own, there's a whole boathouse row that's a historical area. So just so that the people that know when they're like listening, they can get an idea. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about Philadelphia rowing, I'm not going to lie, but we are historic with rowing. We host Stowe-Sperry, which is like, I think almost 80 years, maybe plus 80 years. Kelly Drive is named after John B. Kelly, Sr. He was an Olympic rower, I believe. And his son also rowed John B. Kelly Jr. and John B. Kelly III, who is still alive and still rows on Boathouse Row. Boathouse Row is historic. It's made up of, I want to say 9 to 10 different boathouses and clubs. Some are owned by colleges such as Penn. UPenn owns one. LaSalle College has one. Temple, which is a little bit up from Boathouse Row, but we still consider it along the avenue, is along there. St. Joseph's University and Drexel, and a bunch of different clubs like Penn AC, Vesper, Undine, Malta, Fairmount.
Yeah. I think sometimes people like hear these clubs and they'll know that they come out of Philadelphia, but they won't
there's
understand.
A bunch of clubs and like hundreds of rowers. And there's even like more boathouses farther, like 9 miles up Schuylkill.
Oh, is that like where Villanova?
Yeah, Villanova, Conshohocken Rowing Club.
Wow.
All those high schools are up there.
Okay, very nice. I see you're teaching me something right here. So very nice. So how would you describe your whole your high school career as a whole?
Interesting. I rode the varsity single my sophomore through senior year. And I think that taught me a lot. You win by yourself, you lose by yourself. And I always just got so competitive with myself and with it that I like never wanted to really fail. So through that, I kind of trained a lot, and I had success in the single. I don't really want to go down my like medals and all that. But,
oh no, like no, this is what it's for. Yeah, go down there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, let's see it. Go one by one. No.
Yeah, there's like 20s, 28 maybe I have a couple over here. I think I've done in the single, I have 3 state championship medals. I have 2 SRA medals, a silver and a bronze. I have a Kane Henley medal in gold. I have like 4 club national medals, 2 Dago medals, a couple Philly Youth Regattas, 3 head of Schuylkills, 12 other small races, a couple of watches from Independence Day Regatta. Cooper Cup is over there. Stowe-Sperry's over there. Stowe-Sperry was a silver in the varsity single.
So let's talk about being in the single for, I feel like a lot of times for younger rowers, especially in high school, being in the single is not common. So like you've already described it a little bit of like winning by yourself, losing by yourself. What is the overall that you would take out of being in the single?
I honestly tell people with the single, like you get out what you put in. I hated the single. I'm not even going to lie. Like you can ask anybody. I would complain if I was in the single. I would leave practice early. I would do whatever it took to get me out of that boat. But over time, I learned that just like you have to overcome the fear of it. Because once you do win your first race in the single, it's like, oh my God, I did it by myself. Like no one else. Like, yeah, your friends won in an 8, but you won by yourself. Like, that's so much cooler than what they're doing.
Yeah.
And while it's like, lonely kind of being out there by yourself and practicing by yourself and not knowing like, really what to do, I kind of just got the confidence over time to just be like, oh, I'm going to be that one out there winning. I want to make sure that my start is the fastest, that my sprint is the fastest. If I'm in a single, it's going to be worse if I lose because people are going to be like, well, whose fault is it but yourself? I don't want to blame, I never wanted to like disappoint really,
Yeah.
I always just made it a point to like make sure that I stayed on top with that single.
I feel that. So did it help as well, like technique wise? Obviously it should have.
Yeah. No, I definitely got a lot better. I got quicker catches for sure. And I love just like the vulnerability of a single, like fixing drills I thought was easier in a single, even though it's more frustrating because I might flip. It's like I make less mistakes because of that fear that I'm going to flip,
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you on that. Because I feel the exact same way as like, okay, well, I'm not trying to go over.
Right.
So let me do this right the first time. Obviously you have to do drills all over the time, like multiple times, but I'm like, yo, let me get this done. And then, okay, we're good.
Exactly.
Did you row? Did you sweep at all during high school?
I swept once. I did a 4 once. But before that, nope. I started really in college. I was just thrown into it.
So for the viewers, I'm going to give them a fair warning. And Anthony, now you know how I found you and how I became your friend. I was a heavy rowing nerd. I went through rowing Reddit. I looked at results. I used to go through Be Recruited and like, yo, I'm trying to make friends in rowing too. So I'm like, because my team, shout out to my team, number one, shout out to my team, but they were not the most competitive. And I wanted to be friends with people that were competitive in my opinion. So this name keeps popping up on Be Recruited, this Anthony Williams guy. And I go, all right, I got to see this guy. Like we got the same 2K. It looked like we had the exact same 2K. And I'm like, and he's black. He really on my level too. So I was like, let's see this guy. So I found you on like Instagram or something like that. And somehow I was able to find you. Then I hit you up like, yo, and then we just started linking from there. And I think you were already like really like looking towards Drexel or whatever. But I was telling you like some of the some of the colleges I was looking at. I'll put you in a group chat with my hometown rival, whose name Alex. He went to Wisconsin, and then we talked about it for a while. This is like probably fall of 2015.
Yeah,
and that's how I met my boy Anthony here. So without a doubt, y'all. You remember that at all?
I do. I remember seeing it and being like, that's kind of cool. I remember talking. I know we were talking about like Syracuse. I think we were going to Temple at one point, like at the same time.
Yeah. Cause your homeboy,
Perkins.
Yeah, Brian Perkins.
Brian Perkins. I even hear stories to this day from Temple guys that tell me that like Perkins always says that like I'm supposed to be like a Temple guy. I'm like, I don't know. It was kind of weird though, like seeing him like at races and everything since Drexel and Temple are like competitors.
And right next to each other.
Yeah, it was always that like one thing where it's like he knows exactly where I went.
And I mean, same here for me. When I was down in Jacksonville, one of the main schools that was like begging for me, I ended up not going, and I can say it now since it's years in the like past. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was breaking up with a girl or something like that. I'm like, yo, like it's not me, it's you or not. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not you, it's me.
It's
right?
me, yeah.
And it was Marietta. So I see him all the time at Sierra, and I saw him at Davil all the time. And the coach would always be like eyeing me, staring me down. Hi, Xavier.
That's always uncomfortable, yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, like, yeah, it was so awkward. So what led you to the decision in picking Drexel?
Really talking to Justin. Not gonna lie, I knew Justin in high school. I raced him in the single in high school, and we were friends since my junior year, his senior year of high school. So it's been a while. So I talked to him and I visited Drexel very last minute. I think I applied in like March after the deadline. I somehow like talked to Savell and he got me through in like a week and a half, and talked to Justin, took an official. I knew a lot of guys there. My old ergometer trainer went to Drexel. Family went to Drexel. So it's like I was already in the Drexel rowing like family. Like my high school, my coach, my senior of high school rowed at Drexel. So it's like he was pushing it on me, and they were doing they had the season, and I liked the people that were already the freshmen there. So I kind of just joined last minute. I think I signed like April 30th, like the last day.
So like you were really cutting it short.
Like, yeah, I was like, I have no idea, because Baker was the freshman coach at the time was like telling me he's gonna like start like putting out the contact information, and I was like, oh, I don't want to like miss out on like dorms and stuff, so I had to like do a quick like last minute decision. But I made the right one, I think.
hey, I'm glad you ended up making that decision, bro. We're gonna get to that, man. I had already freaking committed to Oregon State, and they were getting rooms together and everything like that. And then last minute, I was like, nah, I'm gonna go to Jacksonville. And it was just like, I was like, I'm sorry. It was hard to make that decision for me. Right, and I probably made it like around the same time as you. So it probably was late, but yeah, dude. So now you're a Drexel Dragon. How'd you feel?
When I got to Drexel, or
even just like, I'm a senior, I'm still racing actively, but I know I have a school. I know I can wear a hat at a regatta and people will know, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah, I got you. I felt good. I felt finally like it's done, really. Like the hardest part, I think, about rowing was that high school recruiting era, because you're going against so many people and so many friends, and everything becomes a lot more competitive. I feel like in that sophomore, junior year of high school, you're competitive in school, but you're competitive in rowing because you need the results, you need the 2K. Now you have to have the 2Ks, for some schools and some programs. And so I felt, really good. And I had a friend who I met at Crescent, Tillman, who rowed at Roman, who was going to Temple. And we ended up sitting in the same seat in the freshman 8 and racing each other all year. Or another friend I met at Crescent who rowed at Conestoga, Jake, he rowed in like the Delaware. I think he was like 3 seat up their freshman 8. So I would always like race friends. So I always thought that was like, exciting. And a fun part, it kind of like carried over the fun from high school and club season to like college.
That's good. Good to hear. So,
and racing you too.
Yeah.
Of course.
Any exciting times over the summer where like you like from senior year to freshman year, any like exciting races that you had?
Definitely. So I joined Vesper that year. At Club Nats, I got second in like the U19 quad. That was really cool. I won the U19 double that year. When we rode that double like twice with my good friend Max. He rode at Columbia lightweights. After that year, we also won Canadian Henley by like 3 or so seconds, and that was like pretty fun because that was something that like when I first started rowing in the summers that like I didn't get to go my first like summer of rowing. So like having that be like my last like summer rowing in like a high school, it was like a good thing.
It's like a full circle.
Yeah, and it showed a lot of people, a lot of coaches that I had like that I can actually do certain things, or like, oh, like I do deserve to be in certain boats, or I can do certain things,
Yeah,
it's always nice to show the naysayers wrong.
Yeah, without a doubt. So Canadian Henley was like you went out in a bang, and then was that it? After that, you go straight to Drexel?
Yeah, I went to Drexel after that. We should have. And I pushed my coach at the time a little bit on it. I wanted to take that double to like U19 trials. Yeah, I think we would have made it, seeing how much speed we had with little practice already. But but that's like looking back, I was like, I should have pressed on it more. But I was also just like, what are the odds? But yeah, after that, I went to Drexel, and that was just fun. After that, I really got more into rowing. I feel like while there. And I got to go from like a small team to like a really big team, from a team of like maybe 16 people to a team of like 100, boys and girls. Is like,
that was the question I was just going to ask. How was that feeling from going from your club to going to this big team with people from all over the place? We share friends that are from Serbia and they know each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's like thinking about it now, it's like, it feels like, it's a Drexel family, but it's like a whole like collegiate rowing thing. Cause like you said, we have friends that know other friends, and then they talk to you, you talk to them. And it was wild going from like a high school team of like 13 or so with like 4 friends within that 13 to like having a whole like 8 guys in a boat with me. From 1 to 8 is like ridiculous. Like the difference in speed between the two, and it's still being on my home body of water where I did row and scull is like now a whole new world, especially
that
with
probably was
sweeping.
a whole nother, yeah. There's the same body of water you've been on for all 4 years. That probably was a mind, you know what I'm saying? So like that must have been crazy, dude.
Definitely.
First year you were in the freshman 8 or what? What were you in?
Yeah, I was in the freshman 8. I finished the year in the freshman 8, I should say. Well, I started the year in the freshman 8 as well. So that was wild because my first race I was stroke seat and I like had no idea how to stroke a sculling boat, at least. I mean, a sweeping boat. Sorry, I think I like didn't put the shaft all the way in like the oarlock thing until like the day before like the race. I had no idea. I like didn't have it flush up against the oarlock for like 3 weeks. I just didn't know how to do it. It was just so heavy. Because compared to like Concept 2 skinny oars, that this one big thing is like enormous to me.
Right.
And it's heavy. Not heavy, but it's like thick. So that was fun, stroking it. And then I kind of got put down into 2-seat eventually. But I thought it was fun. I like having 8 guys in the boat. And I think I took I was a captain of my high school team. And I kind of took that leadership principles and brought it to like the freshman class and kind of like became like not even call it like, I was the vocal, spokesperson of the freshman class, really. If there was a boat dispute, I'd have to like, talk to the coaches and, give them like a sweet smile. I was always that like little advocate. I always be like, oh, the boys, they, need this, or the boys, we should row in this boat, or can we do this for practice, or, can we seat race, so-and-so behind the scenes, stuff like that.
Yeah, yo, Anthony, you're actually covering the questions that I was gonna ask. I forgot that. Were you in leadership when you were a captain, or like? So you told me you're a captain of the team, and how did it help? So just already your freshman year, you're already using your captain qualities.
Yeah,
that's great to hear.
And it's kind of easy, also being a black rower, because people do listen to me a little bit more. To an extent, of course, I am a freshman, but like I also like to command a room, and I already had natural leadership qualities about me.
Yeah.
And so once I joined Drexel, I wasn't like a talkative freshman at all, but I'm a very social guy already. So like I got to know people very well, and then coincidentally, I was going to consider transferring my freshman year, so I didn't like get housing immediately. So I didn't get housing with anyone in my class. So they all like lived together their sophomore year, but I didn't have to, but I decided, or was accepted to live with the seniors, the upcoming seniors that year in one of the crew houses. So I, as a sophomore, lived with like 21-year-olds and I don't know, they were all the seniors, they were all the cool, like the cool partiers. So like, through living with them, I got to become more comfortable with the upperclassmen, and that helped my leadership a lot because I would just skip over my class and be like, "Oh, I'm already like hanging out with
old soul."
Exactly.
I get you.
And with that, I got to learn how to like do social things with the team, parties, and so with that, I picked up on all these different small traits from those seniors. And when it came time for me to become a junior, I ran for captain and became captain because I was so social, during those transition years between my freshman and junior year, living with the seniors.
So what did you admire from the older class? What are some ways where you're like, okay, I'm not going to take this part of it, but what were you like, damn, like I could really respect this person did, or
Yeah, I'm a big component on team, and just the word team. I don't like and I saw this a lot when I was looking at schools for college. I never liked when the guys and girls teams were very separate. I never really and that's because I went to a guys and girls school. I always had a combined co-gender environment. So I visited different schools, where the guys would party on one side and the girls would go to the other. They just didn't like each other. And I never liked that. And then with that two guys I lived with, especially, the guys and girls were like, they were best friends. They'd come over to each other's houses. They would parties together. They would, go out together, they go to dinner together, they go on vacation together. And I always wanted to keep that sense of like team culture around, even though we're guys and girls and we may argue, we may fight, we share the same boathouse, same time, so I still want to have like a team support, team culture where we support each other, we can hang out together. It's not just guys and girls. So I admire them about that a lot. And they know that work hard, play hard mentality that they also had that was lost a little bit after they left. Because, I feel like sometimes in rowing, and you can probably attest to this, some things get serious. We get mad at each other a lot. We're together all day long, on trips, on flights. It becomes great. We live together. We have class together. So I always just admired how they kind of kept the peace within their class and kept the team kind of up-spirited.
Yeah, and I think one thing, and I'm actually learning it more like on the coaching side than like prior. Like as an athlete, I always knew it was a long season, but it being a long season, like that, you're gonna have those times where you're like, damn, I'm really sick of that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm really sick of that dude.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
Yeah, and then it is good to just be like, okay, if you're able to just find some peace throughout, oh, I got to do this final, or I got to go do this internship,
Exactly.
with all of that, and just kind of bringing it together and be like, look, we're a team. We can still respect each other. We can still have fun with each other, regardless if we have disagreements, regardless if we have difference of opinion, whatever it may be. We still got, at some point, we got to come together in this boat and go travel and go race and put out the best race we possibly can. So that's great to hear. That's really good to hear.
It's hard sometimes for sure. Especially, I rode with a lot of people. I rode in eights with people with big egos, including my own ego, and that never, it's never fun, when you kind of put that more serious note over rowing and kind of escape the fun of it. I feel like once you lose the fun of it, you kind of feel the pain of it.
Oh,
you see how hard it is actually, and
you can actually see the athletes who like aren't having fun with it. You can see how they're feeling about it. Like, damn, like I don't want to be that guy.
10 miles of rowing is long. If you're not having fun, it's really bad.
Yeah. So let's go back, sir. I'm really glad where this conversation is right now, but I want to go back to freshman year. What made you think, oh, I don't want to be a Dragon? Why were you going to transfer?
Because there are so many options at first. When you it's like when you pick something but someone else gets something to it and you're like, well, that looks kind of good too. Like, I want that food too. I want that dessert. And I was like, oh, well, I could have also gone here. What do they eat? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So it is also that transition from just like college, I'm just like, I want to be, you know what I mean? And that lasted like 2 months. And I was like, wow. It's also like living with different people who you don't know. And it's like, am I comfortable here? It's that transition phase that was kind of hitting. But once I got like a solid group, I was fine.
I also think that is that's a normal thing.
Even I have a lot of friends who've done that, who've said that, who've tried also.
Yeah. I think, but I also think being on a team, especially in rowing, I feel like that can help you. That can help ease the transition a lot better than just being a regular student. What was student life like at Drexel?
Student life was, it was quick. We were on 10-week terms because we were on a trimester system.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quick. You have 10 weeks to finish these classes. It goes by super fast with midterms being 5 weeks in, and we already start I think the 3rd week of September, so it's super late. Yeah. So it's kind of fast paced, but you kind of get the hang of it.
And then do you guys prioritize like internships and like finding is that later on in like
no? So Drexel is one of I think 2 schools that have a co-op system where you do an internship for 6 months of the year, and then you go to school for 6 months of the year. So I did a 5-year program with 3 co-ops. Co-ops are the internships. Yeah. And so I did internship from March to September and went to school from September to March for 3 years, for my sophomore, junior, and pre-junior year. And then for my freshman and senior year, I have class from September to June straight through.
How was that with rowing?
It was busy, but, but luckily it's like in the spring where we're racing and it's like 6 a.m. practice and then we can row in the afternoon. It's not as much erging or like lifting. It's like a lot more like, and your boats are already kind of set by that point. So you kind of work on schedules like that, but it's definitely busy, going from the water to shower, home, commute. If people have to commute to like Jersey or anywhere else in the city to work and do a whole days of work and then have to go back to rowing, doing that 2-3 times a week does become challenging, especially if work is busy and you have, you can't leave sometimes. You have to cancel practices and putting that adult life into rowing. But it matures you though, which is good. It does give you a sense of like maturity.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that's there should be more opportunities for people to kind of have that experience. And I mean, we look at Justin with the California Rowing Club, like that's essentially what he does now. He works and then he goes row. So I mean, if you're gonna move on to the next level, I mean, this sounds like the best transition right there.
Of course,
Let's talk about just Dadville. You guys are huge when it comes to Dadville. Dadville is like your Super Bowl, is your whatever you want to call it. That's the big deal for you guys. You guys go for the team trophy. And your squad, the guys and the lady squad, they just are, you can just feel the energy. Even if you guys are nowhere near the rest of the regatta, we can tell that Drex are just ready.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Dadville?
Oh, it's so much fun. I love going. I'm excited to go this year as an alumni. Finally, 5 years of racing in it, so finally attend as alumni with all my friends, of course, too, and watch all my friends race and guys that I've seen, grow up. The guys that are on the team now, I've seen all of them as freshmen. My brothers are freshmen on the team, so I get to look at all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of interesting. And coaching them, I'm like, I've seen up to like middle of April of what they've done,
Yeah.
So I'm excited. And
that's the majority of their work too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. I was there in the winter, so I did the hard stuff, the erging season. I'm excited. And the coaches definitely, they hype it up, and the school also does a good job of it. And the fact that it is a home body racing, there's so many clubs and schools in Philadelphia and in the history of Philadelphia rowing makes it just this grand thing.
Yeah. So how did you finish at Dadville? And what was Drexel like prior to you? Like, how did they do prior to you coming on?
Freshman year, I won. I won the freshman 8. I had a second place in the varsity 8 from 2019, and I had a second place in the second varsity 8 from 2021.
2021.
Yes. I've had quite the races. I've had nail biters by losing by 0.01 of a second in 2019. I've had gaps like my freshman year. I think we won by 4 or so seconds. It's open water and pouring down rain with the whole team watch. I think we were the last race of the day my freshman year, which was exciting, which also made it a lot more fun because the varsity 8, it went the varsity 8s first and then freshman 8s last. So that was a lot more exciting having the whole team there. Mm-hmm. And then the COVID year, I think it was us and GW. But that was their last year before they got cut, unfortunately. So that was their all out balls to the wall year. They did great too, so they definitely deserve.
Any other regattas where you're like, damn, I really enjoyed that? Any trips over to the West Coast, anything like that?
Yeah. I was always a fan of the GW Invite, honestly. Down in DC, I love that chirp. Head of the Charles, I loved racing. I have a silver. I had the Charles from 2018 fall in the collegiate 8 with Justin. He was my 4 seat. I was 6 seat.
Okay.
We almost had a collision under Elliott, and then our coxswain threaded it super closely, even to the point where I was starting to hesitate and pull the word. Yeah, and then Justin just yelled, and we just took off. It was ridiculous. So there was that race. I had a lot of fun there. And I've always wanted to medal at the Charles and have that little moment. That same year, that spring, we took our top 2 boats to Chula Vista Olympic Training Center, for a spring training trip where we raced Stanford, UCSD, USD, Gonzaga, and I think one other school, Oregon State, I think. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think it was Oregon State. And that was a lot of fun. Justin was my 7th seed, actually. We were stern pair, and that was a lot of fun. That was like my first, I think, training trip in college. And going to Olympic Training Center already is cool. And being able to see like the Olympic team do their like trials, I believe it was, and being on their training course and seeing their facilities and the other sports that were there. I think we saw like the track team training, the javelin team training. So just being in that environment and seeing their facility was like crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I also really enjoyed IRAs that year because we got to come back to California and race in Sacramento. And that was a lot of fun. I didn't get to go. I didn't go my freshman year because I was training for Penn AC. And I wanted to break 620. So I was training for a 2K and didn't want to be with rowing and all that business. So when I got to go, it was so much fun. For sure. And I met you there on my last day.
Yeah, dude. I know. We were actually in the same hotel that
yeah, we were in the same. Yes.
Man, dude, that was amazing. And I know because we talked like throughout the year. So like I'm kind of guiding it where, I know he did this. So I know he did this. Okay.
You follow my social media, so you can kind of see all my sides of stories.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But I remember chatting with you when you went to Chula Vista. You're like, bro, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness.
It's wild.
And I'm like, oh, bro, that's so cool. So, Leah, let's talk about over the summer. So your summers between college, how was racing that? Because I don't think a lot of people get an idea of summer racing unless they actually participate in summer racing. Because a lot of people end up just training over the summer.
Yeah. Well, along with us rowing within high schools, like that Crescent Roman Catholic mentality is to just train at Crescent with your same high school coach over the summer, which is super smart if you think about it, because you build your boats for the spring, the summer. Right. So me joining them, I saw the grit and the grind that it takes, and it's not easy, wake up at 6 a.m. from June 15th till August 9th, especially when you want to do things with your friends. I mean, in high school, what can you really do? But like, when you want a vacation or do things with your friends or just relax, because you did row, from March to June. It's super hard and it's not easy. At the same time, I was working at JL Racing.
Shout out JL.
JL Racing. I worked there for like 3 years. So that was always busy, but I like doing it. It's fun. There's no 2K racing. It helps with 2K, like prep work. You could do a 2K in the summer. And it's hot. I'm not going to lie. It is hot. It is like, do not do it if you don't like the heat. But Canadian Henley is a really fun race, not to scare people off. And it's super fun. You meet new people with these camps. And I recommend it, especially when you're first getting into rowing.
Shout out A. And if my squad's watching right now, they've just been invited today to the Canadian Henley. You guys better go to the Canadian Henley.
You go. It's a lot of fun.
So how was it after COVID? So you go back, you were already part of a 5-year program. So how was it right after COVID? Because it shut down the 2020 season,
Right. Yes. So we came back in the fall, in like September, October. We were doing like small boat stuff, low 4s. I think we got to 8s towards the end of the fall. And we took break, came back around late January with Ergie. Then we got on the water in like March. It was fine. I picked it up pretty quickly. It didn't feel, I guess, too abnormal. Mm-hmm. There were some things that weren't normal, but we actually took trips. We went down to Navy. We went other places. So it wasn't too restrictive. Okay. And doing it with my friends was also fun. I think towards the end, I think people started to kind of notice it, that little bit of just like, almost, why am I still doing this? So we're starting to come out almost like I'm leaving college and that's starting to take over my brain rather than like pulling this 2K. You know, it's like I graduate in 4 weeks. This 2K is like nothing. Like it's not nothing. They're everything, trust me. But it's like there's, you know, you switch your brain to like, oh, well, I switched my brain at least to like, oh, work and graduation and making sure that I'm prepared for getting a job after college. You know, and I feel like that kind of segued. And I see it even with people on our team now who are in that fifth year. I see, you know, the transition, you know, kind of carries over. And I feel like some people transition and then some people, you know, they continue rowing in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
Some people do both. Some people really do both. But
and sometimes it is, I don't think you have to make a switch.
Right.
But that's definitely like the main priority. It's like, yeah, I've done the 4 years or 5 years of just rowing,
right.
Competing. And it's like, all right, now we're gone to what am I going to do in real life? And I'm not saying rowing's not real life, but you know exactly what I'm saying.
And it's taking my skills and my competitiveness and everything I've learned from rowing into my next, you know, adventure. How can I put my success into something else? And, you know, I did coach or I am coaching, so I'm still in the sport, you know, somewhat. I'm never going to leave rowing. You know, there's always a regatta I'll be at of some sort.
Right.
But I always think that, you know, it's important to start to like, you know, not to get frustrated with yourself sometimes when things start to like not make sense, you know? Exactly. Like if you're always competitive at 2Ks and you have a bad one, you know, it's all a mental game. If you're worried about graduation or finals or something, it's going to affect your 2K, you know, and there are big things that happen. So, you know, I always try to make sure that even the guys on the team know that like at the end of the day, yes, rowing is like 23 hours of your day, but it's still a sport that's like, it's not you won't die if you like don't get on their 2K. Like, you know, I always want people to prioritize their mental health and make sure that that's important because it is such a sport that's, you know, like we said earlier, it can be boring if you don't like it, you know, it's mentally draining, it's physically exhausting, it takes up a lot of your time. So I always make sure that people, you know, they take time for themselves sometimes, and it's okay to take time for yourself. You know, you're really grinding out 4 years on the erg, training so much, so like, you know, really allows time for yourself.
Yeah. Let's talk about
answered your question. I don't think I answered your question at all, but
no, it's straight. I mean, we're good. How does this help? Let's talk about a little bit of parties. Let's talk about the party scene a little bit, just a tad bit. How does that help with a team? And how does it help with a collegiate team? I think it's different on a high school team. I'm not, hey, I'll put this out here. I am not convincing any high schooler that watches this that you should be partying or whatever.
I'm not condoning partying. Yeah. If you can see the LED sign, that's kind of a little hint. I am a party guy. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not a party guy. I'm so social. Like I love socializing. I love networking. I love, you know, being the talk of the town. And I think parties are important, honestly. You know, and I even told like my coach, I was like, Coach, you know, yes, partying is not ideal for recovery, but at the same time, it's good for team spirit. You know, because you can have a team that wins every race, but if they don't like each other and if they're not close, it's like they're not really happy. It feels like work, you know. I feel like people have to work hard, play hard all the time, and you know, I really wanted to make sure that like when I got a college house that like I brought back the partying that I felt as though was lost the previous year. So I like, you know, I put everything on like 1,000%. When I say I'm gonna do something, I'm going to do it like times 10. Like I can't bullcrap something, you know what I mean? I have to like, if I'm gonna do a theme, I'm going to do a theme. Like my friend's having a Wild West party. I bought cowboy boots for it. So like I am like, I have a hat. I have like everything. I like will go in for something.
And so, I think it helps with you know, mental health too.
Yeah, with mental health and people getting to know each other and recruiting too. Because in the recruits see like, you know, not anymore really. They can't really go on like Friday, Saturday nights. But like, you know, you get to see, you know, the team's happy, they have a good social life, they're connected, they're friends with each other, you know?
Yeah. always that's kind of the best way to get someone in. I'm not saying that like we had recruits or whatever coming through, whatever. I'm just saying that's like, you know, if we watching like we might be watching a football game, we might be watching a basketball game together collectively, we all hang out and we're chatting and we start like, you know, just making jokes and start listening to music and putting each other on to different things.
Right, yeah. And that makes everything fun too.
Yeah, it
Because then you
does.
bring it to practice, and then practice gets more fun because you have someone hollering at someone. It's like, oh, Xavier, you know, you suck, or Anthony, you know, you start slow, and then you know the small bickering that makes rowing fun at times.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think this brings me to something. We were racing and we were just really in our head. Like we have been practicing, and our coach even was like, "Yo, you guys are shooting yourself in the foot. Like you guys row well. You guys are just shooting yourself in the foot." So he's like, "Just relax." He's like, "I've seen you guys giggle and like make jokes about each other. Like go out and just go have a good row." He's like, "I'm not even going to be near you. Go have a good row and then race and let's see how it goes. Like I'll let you guys do whatever you guys need to." We were clowning, making jokes all the way up to the starting line. We had a duel and we destroyed the duel. We did amazing, but it was because we were so like, we were just like, it didn't even feel like we were really like racing. We were always stuck in our heads that way. Like we would get like, oh, well, we need to do something different because we're racing. It's like, no, if you can actually get the boat going, if you're relaxed and if you're cool with the person that you're behind, that you're pulling with, and you guys can go get it done, go get it done. So I think that's amazing, man. I think that's amazing. Any advice to a collegiate rower, a high school rower, any type of advice that you can give them that's kind of a general advice?
Go fast. I love people that go fast and really give their all. I don't like when athletes, collegiate, high school, you're a little bit more forgiven, but like collegiate, especially, like really put your all into everything because it goes by super fast. And, you know, it sucks when you have to like, look back on races. Not saying that I do, you know, I like all our races. I don't regret a race. You know, I think every race has taught me something. But yeah, you don't want to look back and be like, damn, like I like barely pulled for that race, or, you know, I just really cherish the moments that you have with the guys that are around you, you know, pull for each other and really take your training seriously and always be vocal. You know, I always tell people, and I did it as a like junior and senior in college, I always vocalized my opinions. You know, when coaches were like, how was that row? I never sat there and was like, if it was like not good, I'd always say, you know, this, well, sometimes it was negative, but like, I'd also, you know, but through the negativity, I'd have positive feedback. So I'm very expressive. I have a very small filter with rowing. So like when I'm in that competitive mindset, I'm going to talk to you like you're like my bro, even if you're my coach, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I would always vocalize, be like, oh, like the boat feels heavy, or this is happening, or we need to fix this. You know, don't sit and accept mediocrity. And also don't for high schoolers looking to be recruited, you know, don't shoot yourself short. I looked at schools like Washington, Yale, and those are schools that like for my 2K at that time were ridiculous, but my results not ridiculous, but like my results on the water were what was getting me those emails back, were giving me those phone calls, those trips out there to visit the coaches. Because otherwise they wouldn't, because they weren't talking to any of my other friends that were having worse results, but better 2Ks. You know, they look at 2Ks and results and academics. It's not always the 2K. Now, I'm not going to say you can go to Washington with the 640 because that's just not going to happen. They have like a 610, like limit. So, but through that, you have to work for it. But, you know, don't shoot yourself short and, you know, really put yourself out there and be vulnerable to coaches, and don't be afraid to ask questions to coaches and or anyone really. Yeah, and I'm sure Xavier can put my socials maybe somewhere.
Oh, but we would definitely. I'm gonna put all the socials out there. No. Oh
God. Oh no, I have to go to law school still.
Let's talk about this, man. How is rowing helping you post rowing?
Post rowing. So I'm coaching. Like I keep saying, I'm gonna put it out there like, every second I can. I am now working at not my law firm. I'm working at a law firm, Morgan Lewis and Bacchus, a global law firm. I'm a paralegal in the labor and employment practice group with various roles in between there. And I didn't get it because of rowing per se, but having rowing on my resume during that co-op search really stood out to a lot of people, because when you're a student athlete, that's one thing, of course, but when your sport is so time consuming and time draining, and people know it's like early morning wake ups, it's, you know, long nights, it really makes people stand out. So, don't, and a regret I have actually is that I never talked about my rowing success more when I was in the success. My parents would always be like, oh my God, I'd like, well, of course, of course I like did well. Not of course I did well, but like, yeah, but I feel like looking back, once I started to get in my last year of rowing, I started sharing my results more with people and on social media. And I saw that more people like reached out, more people, a lot of people liked hearing about it. And it helped me with work, because a lot of people at my job, a lot of the partners would reach out to me because they were rowers or their kids row. So it helped me connect in that sense. And it confirms to me that rowing is such a small sport. Everyone rowed at some point, not everyone, but like figuratively everyone rowed. You just don't know,
Yeah. And it's crazy because you'll be like, oh, like my boss will mention somebody, and I'm like, how do you know? And I'm like, dang, I gotta remember the sport is not like it's not like basketball where you can just be like, small. Oh, yeah. So
no, but I definitely will also always tell people, don't be afraid to lose, because the losing races teaches you the most. That's one. Two, and don't be afraid to speak out again with your teammates. If you think you guys need to work on a sprint, you need to tell them and work on that sprint. Everyone in the boat has a voice. Don't let people shut you up because they're faster or taller than you, or their quads are bigger. And what's my last thing? And don't be ashamed to gloat about yourself. I know, there's cockiness and there's like, being like a total, hothead about yourself, but don't be afraid to be like, oh, I'm the best, I'm winning, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because recruiting, that's what you're doing. You're putting yourself out there and be vulnerable,
Yeah. And I think I feel the same way as you. Like, my folks always talk, oh, Xavier rowing and blah, blah, blah. And this is what he's been doing and blah, blah, blah. And, all that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, this is nothing to me. Like, not, and I don't mean it like a,
right, because you do it every day. So it's like, of course I'm like rowing, or of course I'm like, it's like, because we've done it every day for like 6-7 years. It's like, well, what else am I doing? Can't do anything else. But,
yo, Tony, man, and whatever you want to call you, whatever you want me to call
everything.
you.
I have nicknames all around the world. I can't say the one, but it's for trademark purposes more than likely.
Hey, it's been an honor. Thank you, man. You got anything else you want to say? Any catchphrase, anything, whatever you want to say? Shout out to anybody.
Catchphrase. Shout out to everyone that's watching this, that actually did watch this. Shout out to myself and my alter ego, of course. Shout out to Xavier for putting this together, and for the past people he's had on here. I saw you had Clark Dean, you had Justin Best. Say his name for like the 10th time this podcast. So who else have we had on here?
We're just gonna put a counter. Justin Best.
Justin Best, yes. Not sponsored by Justin Best Enterprises. Who else have you had on here?
So I've had Clark, Justin Best, Christine Cavallo.
Okay,
Simon Van Dorp from Washington.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah, I just had him probably like a month ago. Then you.
I watched that.
Then I'm gonna find somebody else, bro. I'm gonna keep finding more.
Collegiate Road's favorite, Anthony Williams, Boathouse Sports model.
Hey, so wait, you got family rowing at Drexel?
Yeah, my brother rows.
Hey man, shout out to the future, bro. Yeah, shout out to the future.
Sean Williams, he is now a Drexel Dragon. He rowed at Conestoga. He rowed at Northfield Mount Herman. So he's now rowing.
Hey, you guys, that's the future of rowing, yes. The future of sports.
The Williams family at Drexel Rowing.
Bro, it's been an honor, bro. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
RowingCast, episode 6, I believe.
Episode 6.
Peace.